Welcome to SwitchCorner, my name is Alex and today we're going to be taking a look at Lost in Play on the Nintendo Switch, an adventure title where you find yourselves exploring the imaginations of a brother and sister duo. Is this though worth an add to the library? That is what I'm here to find out. So hit subscribe, join us here for reviews and deals near daily, and let's get started. If you do pick this up, then consider using a cornershop.gg for your eShop credit. You'll get 10% off at checkout using a code CORNER, saving you a little extra cash. Story then, and opening the game we meet these two nameless children. The sister is already immediately lost within a dream, but on awakening she clearly wants to play, she wants an adventure. Her brother on the other hand, still half asleep, wants to sit around and play his Game Boy. We'll quickly build a monster mask, however. Think cardboard household items. It's one to scare our brother with, but this quickly escalates through his eyes into reality. Now we will be facing beasts, trying to get back home, invading goblin castles, exploring desert landscapes, and even flying on what is a magical bird. That as well, it's just the beginning, and there's an increasingly eccentric cast of characters supporting this story along the way. I liked its representation though of how over the top things can get in the imagination. It displayed a really strong relationship between this duo, and the story, it all made sense even when it is actually completely wordless. Yes, it is a simple idea, they need to get home by travelling through this world, but it delivered and I was absolutely invested. All in as well, it's presented as seamless episodes with 15 in total. Gameplay then, this one's all about exploration, mystery, puzzle solving, and the occasional mini-game. It would be best compared to the classic point and clicks of years back, but modernised in its control scheme, that is, free movement. It never gets too obscure with the puzzles either, think like a Grim Fandango with the filling of balloons, packing foam, and normal phone. That one had me stuck for too long, you definitely won't experience that here. Also, on that note, the game, it never really wants you to be stuck. It's as much about enjoying this creative scenery as it is facing challenges, and with that in mind, they've actually attached a constantly available hint system to the Y button that can be accessed. In fact, I used it on occasion myself, no shame here. I wanted to avoid frustration in a few key areas, and it succeeded in that sense. It also makes the experience great for any age, or for those that maybe want something a little easier going, even maybe their first steps into the genre. Controls then, on this, you'll be moving our character around this world and interacting with the A button. That's honestly a large chunk of the gameplay, but it's worth knowing you can access an inventory with the tap of the X button. This is considerably smaller though than many others you may have played in the genre. You also won't be required to combine items for the most part, that is all handled automatically. The game then has more than a few puzzles and mini-games, not just, fetching and finding items. These though, they'll be actually bringing in the use of the triggers and other face buttons, but this, it's always going to be explained on screen. The exploration then, we have a few different designs in here, 2D, 3D movement as well, but still at a 2D angle, and even some on-rails sections as well. It's really a case of explore, find the needed items, face a puzzle, then use all of this to progress. Where this is unique, however, it's in what it describes as its mini-games and almost challenges. Think constructing devices, playing board games, figuring out an image sequence from a keypad. A personal favourite of mine then was navigating and escaping a beast in the early game from what is an isometric viewpoint. There's even a simple flying section in here, though it is 2D. It's also somewhat similar in controls to the legend that is Flappy Bird. These moments, so they definitely break up the gameplay. They also provide some much needed rewards. This is, however, where I'd say the game's simplicity and ease somewhat takes a backseat. They are often logic focused, and I did on a few occasions get a little stuck. It's worth knowing, outside of a guide on how to play the particular game ahead of you, there's really very little in the way of hints. For younger audience members, they may require some assistance. Catching a frog in the latter game, that was particularly awkward. This is also an area then where the game somewhat occasionally struggles with explaining the rules. This is all wordless, as I said, it's using actual images, and I feel that they didn't always instantly click with me personally, especially when they were board game based. Also, control wise here, they are not built equal. They all work fine, but a couple were a little, let's say, extra finicky. They never outstay their welcome though, and they clearly did what they could. On finicky controls then, generally I do think the control scheme here is well implemented, but you can instantly see where a mouse of course would have been a whole lot easier. You can see that it's really been designed around a cursor that has been removed for the Switch experience. The game's control scheme is set up automatically, it locks onto objects that you can then interact with. A speech bubble highlights this, but with progression, locations become more complex and often multiple ideas are kind of packed together, so you'll be working to highlight what you need by slightly adjusting your character position. Shame they couldn't find a way to implement touch controls. They have a few things in here for touch, inventory and hints, but not that movement for some reason, and that was a bit of a miss. Other issues in the 2D and somewhat 3D presentation definitely streamlines the gameplay, making it somewhat easier than most in the genre, but it comes at a cost of sometimes sequences can feel a little overextended. Episodes are normally 1 or 2 locations, but they can be multiple screens, and I did get some backtracking fatigue with a few of the midsection episodes. I also do wish they kind of added more to the game. The game's length is actually perfect. It took me around 6 hours, but no doubt dependent on your skill, that could be much quicker, could be much longer, but on completion, there's really no reason here to come back. It needed, in my opinion, difficulty options. You know, why not an easy, which would have, let's say, unlimited hints, normal, a limited number of hints per episode, and then maybe hard, no hints at all. You know, because having that hint system constantly on screen, as I said, I used it a few times, I have no shame, I have no self-control in that regard. It's there, it is just too tempting. On completion though, you kind of realise now the puzzles won't change, you know all of the answers, and I wish I could have gone back now and forced myself into what would have been a higher challenge. Finally, for issues, I did have a single hard crash. I lost maybe 5 minutes of progress, but of course it was just before an annoying puzzle where you had to do some construction of sorts. It was only once though, so there's a very real chance this won't happen to you. It's definitely worth knowing though, just in case. Fortunately though, the game, I will give it this, it has a fantastic save system. It is near constant throughout, which should have you well protected, you know, few minutes at the most like my scenario. That is true, it won't be impacting today's score. As I said, it was only once, so it very much could have been a problem on my end as well. Overall though, for gameplay, I do think it's a good entry to the genre. I think it's a great option for playing with family and newcomers, and I do think the variety may be a winning factor for many with its slew of different puzzle types and games. Graphically then, it's stunning. They aimed for that old school animated look from the cartoons on a Saturday morning. They absolutely delivered. It just very much feels like an interactive version of just that, and its charm, it is immediate. Our two leads as well have incredible personalities, and the use of episodes, it just leads to a ton of variety and creativity from the grounded to the fantasy. I was particularly impressed with the more surreal moments in the latter half of the game. Very few complaints visually. I think this is top quality work. Environments, the cast, all really good. Menus are maybe a little basic when it comes to selecting an episode, but who really cares? Honestly, I just think maybe descriptors would have been nice of what's coming up. That's me being extremely picky though, and I mean just like, look at this thing, it hit me with instant nostalgia. Audio finally, I really love the music and the sound effects overall. They play into an environment and really kind of reinforce that setting and its tension. The music's just constantly playful, and again, it very much feels like it was ripped directly from a Saturday morning show. The only thing I didn't like on an audio front, the voice acting, it is gibberish, and I found it grating because it is near constant. I was hoping to find an option in the audio menu to remove it, but no luck, it's going to be music, FX, and that is it. So the final verdict, and this is a fantastic looking adventure experience with a solid wordless story that for sure delivers on its goal of Saturday morning cartoon vibes. It also does a commendable, though I'd say not perfect, job of transitioning the controls to console. It's not to call it bad either, just you'll need to work around the restrictions at times and occasionally reposition yourself. The story itself though really creative, a great selection of locations and 2 characters that I wanted to be on this journey with. The cast throughout in fact constantly full of surprises. The puzzles, the minigames as well, a nice variety, even if they will maybe dial them up a little too high potentially for younger players at times, but that is minor, you'll just maybe need to give a little assistance. Overall though, I enjoyed this one. I hope to see more of these characters, perhaps without the voice acting though, or at least an option to turn it off. A good 7 out of 10 from me today, but a strong recommendation for genre fans. Support the adventure game world, we definitely don't see enough entries in it. And that's the video down. Will you be adding this one to the collection then, or holding onto that cash? Let me know in the comments down below. With that then, hit subscribe, join us here on SwitchCorner for reviews and deals near daily, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.